You will recall on the day of her death, Laura Palmer wrote the following entry in her diary. Nervous about meeting Jay tonight. Today, we're going to concentrate on the Jays.
Everywhere I go on this island, it seems to me I find degeneracy.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes. See, it's a lot scarier than that.
I caught him, Sheriff. Wait, who is it? Billy Loomis. Sir?
Pardon me, I'm Loomis, Dr. Sam Loomis.
I think our friend Sam Loomis did know that Marion was here.
Oh, Sam, I hate having to be with you in a place like this.
Mankind is made up of inferior creatures, spiritually and physically deformed, who would have corrupted the harmony of my perfect body.
Through watching scenes of violence, through watching scenes of transgression, through watching scenes of horror. There's an enormous amount of sort of abattoir of excess.
Guys, what do you think it's going to involve Spock?
We all go a little mad sometimes.
It's a rescue mission. You'll love it. There's some juicy
Audience members,
we have to rescue from their
super chats.
favorite duty.
Dumbass comments.
Alright, it is not actually episode 150, but gosh darn it, I loved that intro and I thought I would play it again. Crimson Executioner will absolutely be featuring in the next remake of the intro, because how could he not? How could he not? I hope you're doing well, chat. I'm seeing lots of familiar faces in there. That is always welcome. I hope you are very well. This is episode 152 of Double Feature Horror Show. And I've let you down a little bit. Yeah. We were going to have part 5 of the Vincent Price biography. We're going to touch a little on his TV work in the 60s, move into his 70s films, and then we're going to get into all the fun stuff he was doing in the art world, and especially his cooking. But it has been a busy week, and with Little Horror Show in the picture, I'm afraid I did not manage to complete it. However, folks, I will give you a little bit of a treat from our from my findings. A little treat from Vincent Price's TV career in the 1960s.
Poached eggs? At your service, Commissioner.
Very likely our arch foe, that egg scribble egghead.
And do you also know what we want in exchange?
Batman!
I'm exhausted.
Olga, you exquisite, diabolical genius.
Mr.
Now
Frost
that
has
we've
got
got
absolutely
them,
nothing
let's
on this.
Exterminate them. Explain. And now let us make our exit.
Exactly.
Well, now let us examine this more carefully. How exhilarating. Well, I have great expectations for our relationship and ready for an exotic experience. Oh, I am ecstatic. Expletives will get you nowhere, my cowled crime buster. Excellent. I might even go so far as to say exquisite.
You put all your eggs in one basket.
Okay, I should stop. We could egg on forever, but we shouldn't. We should move things forward. I'm not saying we will, but we should. Anyway, Vincent Price will be back next week. We'll continue the experiment. I will tell you the horror homework for next week right now, early on, so you in the chat and you and the wonderful people watching on the replay can prep in advance if you don't get to the end of the show. That is, next week's horror homework is going to be Theatre of Blood, also starring Vincent Price, and by then I will have the next part. Oh no. I'll have the next part of the biography ready for you. Good times, good times. But I thought you might enjoy that. Oh dear. I think the trouble is I've been egging you on. Oh, chat, what are you up
I
to?
must say that was exquisite.
Oh, I should shell out for the whole episodes, right?
Hey.
Oh, no. Maverick, absolutely. Oh, actually, I've got to find out when he does it. I'll try and take you to the 80s for this. Next part should get you to the 80s if I'm lucky. But if the Scooby-Doo episodes are in the full 80s and not the 70s, then you might have to wait for those. But we will get there. Anyway, without much ado, we are going to be covering The Masque of the Red Death today from 1964, chosen to continue Vincent Price's work and also pay a little tribute. Got a few tributes to pay. A few people have been passed, but before I say anything more about that, I'll introduce my co-hosts. Hello, Murgoot. Not covering an anthology, but we'd love to have you.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Absolute pleasure. I think backstage we had a little chat about this. Well, I'm going to be interested in your thoughts on this as we go. Oh, sorry. Oh, some audio issues there.
You seem to be dropping out.
Oh, am I?
Sounds like a you problem, Murgoot.
No. Murgoot, no. We got to have audio synced. It'll be a nightmare. We can't boomer this.
Okay. Am I coming through now?
Loud and clear, with a voice that could sell cigarettes. All right. Murgoot, just for everyone's enjoyment, could you say they're toasted?
They're toasted.
Oh, see, Don Draper can't get near this. But it's not just Murgoot, of course. We have our regular co-host. He's bringing true crime back. Yeah, them other true crime channels don't know how to act. Yeah, I think it's special what's behind your back. Yeah, so turn around and I'll pick up the slack. Yeah, take him to the bridge. It's TCG.
Oh man, this is going to ruin the tour.
Yes, indeed. Oh, poor dude. Never mind, JT.
Evening, chat. How you doing? I didn't really follow that Justin Timberlake thing too deeply, but it was my wife who turned around to me and was like, "Did you hear? Did you hear that when he said that? Apparently, the police officer didn't know who he was." I was like, "Brilliant!"
Oh no.
Well, the list of drugs they listed, I mean, Molly, cocaine, alcohol, and then I forget the name of it. It starts with a T. It's anti-hepatitis, anti-HIV.
What's like heck?
Yeah, rumor has it he was driving back from Ricata's house.
Oh no.
Maverick asks, when am I going to stream a horror game? That's a great question, Maverick. Funny you should say that. I actually did earlier this week. Go over to my main channel and check up my Alien Isolation playthrough. Well, first hour and a half of it. You might want to skip about 20 minutes because I'm going backwards and forwards. However, I'm going to be doing another one this Saturday.
That was good times, that was.
Yes.
And tomorrow.
And the quiz is, yes, and the quiz is back tomorrow as well. I've had a bit of a scare, though, because, I've got a new PC.
Mm-hmm.
It is a gaming PC, but it's a budget one. So I was a bit like, okay, fair enough. At least it'll do. It is better than the one I previously had, but it's only got one HDMI port, and I usually use two screens when I'm streaming because I have one side for the quiz and the other side for all the setup and whatnot. And I need to get an adapter so I can extend my screen again. We're still going to do it tomorrow. Did a quick test, and I can work it all on one screen. It's fine.
It's good to have it back. We have got our drug answer, by the way, True Vader.
Ooh,
yes.
Oh, that's a recall. That's a flashback. Pre-exposure prophylaxis. general category. Oh, you love to see it. Anyway, no, it was a cozy stream. I managed to catch a fair bit of that TCG, which is a delight.
Yeah, it was nice to see you and everyone else who joined. It was great. Yeah, it was
I
lots
loved
of
your
fun.
screams. They were great.
Oh, mate. Do you know, I think I'm at the point now. So I can't remember who said it in the chat the other night, but they were like, it really reminds me of Soma. And I was getting that vibe throughout the whole, throughout that playthrough. And so I wasn't too worried at the first stage, like the first bit, because I kind of expected it to sort of like work your way in and, almost like sort of handhold you through what would be the tutorial bit. And I think now I'm at the stage where we're past that now. We've been introduced to the alien. It killed Frankie Boyle in the last stream. And it's now taught me how to use a torch, which I'm not happy about. And the torches, unfortunately, are battery operated, so I'm gonna have to be very, very sporadic. It might look a bit like an EDM gig. The strobe lighting effect, I think. But yeah, I've heard good things, and so far it is all right. And also, sorry to completely like take over the stream, but guys, we're gonna have to get on the Ace Attorney bandwagon, and I'm gonna have to get it sorted out ASAP, because in September they are dropping the Ace Attorney Investigations 2-parter. So Miles Edgeworth 1 and Miles Edgeworth 2, which up until now has only been available in Japan. So it's great. But Ace Attorney Twitter have been having a bit of a spurg fest, because there was a mod where like this fan group made translated the second game, and they gave the character names, and the Capcom have decided to change the names or go with localized names, and there were quite a few people spurging out about that, which is quite cool to see, quite funny to see. But I never actually got round to playing the second part, so I don't have to worry about that.
Good stuff. Yeah, you got to hop on that.
Definitely.
I like it. All right. Well, folks, everyone's links are in the description, so check it out. Go back, watch the VOD for Alien Isolation. Should be fun. Follow Murgoot on Twitter. Follow TCG on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. And actually, I'm absolutely terrible at putting out announcements on there, but it's worth it.
Definitely follow me on Twitter at the moment, because I am enjoying the whole Zero Seats fiasco. I'm absolutely loving it.
Oh yeah, I was going to sit it out, but you know what? If I can contribute to Zero Seats, it's worth it. It's a walk, It's a walk. Why not? Oh, hey Devonte, and hey Nina. Oh, everyone's here. Oh, we should stop wasting time. Anyway, so yeah, my co-host links all in the description. As for me, you know what to do. There are super chats open. And if you want to be an absolute star, you can follow me on join as a member either here or on Subscribestar, and then you get access to exclusive content, including the Drag Me to Hell commentary, which is still members only. I'll probably drop it this weekend, but I'll keep all the commentaries out for a few weeks for members to enjoy. I need to record the next one. It's already on its way. And I'll also, before we go further, say a thank you to you all, you wonderful folks, because people have saved us. We put out the poll for the next film arc that we cover in July, and I put in horror and the erotic as an option, and that had 77% for a while. Mima, no, I didn't. I said hi, Devonte.
You did.
I did.
You did.
Fake news, Mima. Fake news. Also, say hi, Promethean Healing, who has got good taste in Vincent Price. And of course, all the regulars. You know you are loved and welcome. Basically, some Legends came out, saved us. I was immediately regretting my choice, but now underrated 90s gems is winning. So we are going to do 90s gems for the next arc in July. There we go. Right.
Enchalante.
Oh, so good. I mean, seriously, did you... The discussions would have got awkward. So, TCG, did you find this week's particularly stirring in the, loin region?
Yep.
No one wants that.
Oh, everyone wants that.
Oh,
Everyone wants that.
Oh yeah.
Oh dear. Keep voting, chat. Maybe that's the arc after. We'll cover it eventually. All right, folks. Well, one last thing that we have to cover before we get into the film, and that is some tributes. Before we came on, we had the news that very sadly, a bit of a screen legend, Donald Sutherland, had passed. Obviously, yeah. He was an old chap, but it's still a shock. I mean, big love for him from, well, obviously, Don't Look Now, and my number one would be Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but plenty
Fallen
of
and
others.
Kelly's Heroes and so many more.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's obviously quite sad. But what was sadder was Noam Chomsky.
Hold on. Hang on.
Oh no! Wait, sorry. No.
There we go.
That was fake news, of course.
It's only dead inside.
That's what was really. Just maybe next year.
And I mean, we just mentioned Donald Sutherland, of course, and rest in peace. But this was originally kind of a dedication to another chap, this fine chap here, Roger Corman.
Okay.
We're celebrating the life of Vincent Price, and obviously Roger Corman was massively influential on that. The Poe cycle that Price was absolutely influential in. That's the Edgar Allan Poe adaptations produced by American International Pictures in the 60s. They made about 8 of them, 7 of which starred Vincent Price. Corman directed them, and that really, I feel, cemented Vincent's reputation as a horror star. But Corman launched many other careers. If you just look at the huge number of directors who started under him in menial roles like James Cameron, just as a production assistant, Jonathan Demme as just sort of in the background, Nicholas Roeg as a cinematographer, Jack Nicholson as a fluffer. So many people in the background getting their start with Roger Corman. And some of them repaid the favor. I have got here this picture of him from Silence of the Lambs. Yeah, Joe Dante as well. Absolutely, John Garris. But yes, Roger Corman here has a cameo in Silence of the Lambs as the FBI director. It's very nice that Jonathan Demme still has him as a director in one form or another. So it's a sad one. Check it. Oh, check it. Oh, you probably misheard, so it was probably nothing. Don't worry about it. Maverick, you've caught us with that before. Nice try. Nice try. All right. So, yeah, a tribute to Roger Corman. Interesting family squabbles, sad to say, but a guy with a huge legacy. And the film Tonight is a great example of it. So, folks, if you're good, we'll move on to discussing The Masque of the Red Death.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Who I only now realize I have not got my title for. There we go. There we go. Oh, dear. It's been a long week, folks. It's been a long week. TCG, had you ever heard of this before? You ever seen this before?
Never heard of it. Never come across it before.
Oh, totally fresh.
Totally fresh.
Ooh. Intriguing. Was it anything like you expected?
It kind of was, I think especially things like with classical horrors, they've got like a certain style to them, don't they? And especially when it comes to Vincent Price films, when he's sort of playing that antagonist role, he can't, it's almost like he's the same character, very sort of menacing, very sort of, it's almost camp in a way, but
oh yeah,
but still threatening enough, you know. But yeah, it kind of was what I was expecting in terms of like the theme, because I think we've done sort of Edgar Allan Poe-esque stories before, haven't we? And I think
we covered a bunch of them in the anthology arc.
Yeah, and I know that what's his face, Vincent Price, has been sort of like one of the focal points of those reviews as well. So yeah, it felt very sort of similar to those.
I think it's fair, and I think you're also dead on that there is a sort of Vincent Price role that in horror certainly he was asked to do over and over again. But he is good fun with it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Murgoot, how about yourself? I assume it wasn't a first watch?
No, I saw it in the 80s as a kid when my mom and I did a Vincent Price film festival for a few weeks.
Ooh.
I only remembered him from the Muppet Show. And my mom's like, well, would you like to see some of his movies? And we started with The Abominable Dr. Phibes and Waxworks, and then went on, and this is one of the ones that we watched.
Nice. I'm concurring with Theremin Trees here. Yes, cool mum. Very cool. Okay.
So it had been a long time since I'd seen it, and a lot of it was, since I watched it as a kid, a lot of it was lost on me then, and this time around I saw a lot more to what was going on. So
nice. Yeah, there is a fair bit more going on in this one, I would say. I largely put that down to Roger Corman having a bit more status, but also canny production decisions and the involvement of one Charles Beaumont as our screenwriter. So just to set the scene here, this is yet another AIP production. It is one of the later ones in the Poe cycle. And this is after they'd had a lot of success and done a bit of a comedy turn, kind of following Trilogy of Terror, where the comedy sections had been a lot more popular. So they've taken a bit of a comedy turn, and now I think they're coming back to something a bit more serious. In this one, they were no longer filming in the US, they were filming in England, taking advantage of a massive set that had been made for another production. I got huge flashbacks from The Haunted Palace, which was one of the films passed off as an Edgar Allan Poe adaptation, although it was an H.P. Lovecraft adaptation. We have covered that one. I was sure they used the exact same set, but I don't think I'm correct there. All the production notes are attributing it to a film called Becca, giving them this huge castle set to have fun with. And Corman had wanted to do The Masque of the Red Death as his second Poe film, but had trouble adapting it, and also apparently feared that it was going to come off as a little too similar to The Seventh Seal. You can kind of see, you know? Death as a character, yeah. I can see it. I mean, I think they're fairly distinct, but visually you can see why he'd be concerned. But the other problem he had was how to make it a movie. And that this was a thing that they all had. Whenever they're adapting the Edgar Allan Poe stories, they've usually got about 20 pages of story to work with. So whoever is on screenwriter duty really has to take some liberties to stretch the material so that they can get an 80-minute movie. And most of these were about 80 minutes. This is a bit unusual in going to Was it 98 or 88?
98. Or wait a minute.
98. Okay, that is unusual. That is unusual.
It was 88. It was a little over 90 minutes.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I did like the fact that they incorporated Poe's Hot Frog into it to extend it a bit. And I'm trying to remember, I was reading the notes, and French authors, who was it? Dial d'Adam, Torture by Hope is what the notes say, which I'm not familiar with. So, but talking about how torture sets people free and what the dungeons are for and why he's using them that way. And also torturing his guests.
Interesting. I hadn't picked up on that. Hadn't seen that note anywhere. Huh. But yeah, you have picked up on a good theme. Yeah, Hot Frog is another Edgar Allan Poe story brought in to get them help them reach the running time. There are a few other quite tasty Poe references in there that we'll just quickly show you. So you can barely see it, but here's your Raven. Well, actually, if I share the tab, you might be able to see it. There is your Raven, who is also the eventual cause of the downfall of one of the characters.
Well, the monkey suit refers to Murders in the Rue Morgue.
Absolutely. Well, it's sort of a 2-for-1, isn't it? You get Hot Frog, you get Murders in the Rue Morgue. We've got the Raven, and as I go through my screen caps trying to find it, oh gosh, where are you? There we go. Guys, what's this? Indeed, it's a really cute tribute. And we should also say, what is it? Some of the wonderful design on here, looking a bit unusual, looking a bit more stylistic than the other AIP productions. You can credit Nicholas Roeg, future director of Don't Look Now, starring, of course, our much missed Donald Sutherland. So, nice little connections there. We love it. It's good stuff. But I was going to say some of the other interesting stuff in it is a fair few people had an attempt to adapt it and struggled. But the success for that adaptation comes down to an interesting chap called Charles Beaumont, pictured here on the set of The Twilight Zone. Kudos to anyone in chat who can name the episode. I'll just leave that up there for you. Beaumont was a prolific Twilight Zone author, and he had a very difficult childhood background. When I was looking into him, poor guy had a very rough start to his life, and he had a very sad end to his life. Died tragically young before he hit 40. What was it? Meningitis complications?
Yes, he had meningitis as a kid, and the side effect of it was he started neural degeneration. Yeah, I'm fragged. Neural degeneration in his 30s, and he went downhill. His son basically said by the end he was 95 years old and all but actual time.
Yeah, it's sad times, but at the same time, clearly he wasn't unpopular. He had friends stepping in to ghostwrite his episodes for him, which I don't think you'd do if you weren't popular. So kudos to Charles Beaumont for that. Checker222 has in fact got it. Yes, that is the Howling Man. I'm a fan of this episode. I'm very much a fan of it.
Yeah, we covered it in our anthology, first Twilight Zone anthology.
Indeed. Oh, was it in that or the bonus episode?
It's been so long.
It's one of them. I guess, folks, or you're going to have to just sign up as a member so you can see both our Twilight Zone streams. Yeah, great fun. So this guy has been behind so much. He knows how to make a lot about the story. But what I raise this because I think it's really interesting that a man whose childhood was very much influenced by his very sadistic father, including one where the father threatens to kill the guy's dog because he made a mess.
The mother.
No, I thought it was the father, wasn't it?
Let me check my notes.
Check the notes, but let's just say a parent who is threatening and overbearing manages to write Vincent Price's character Prospero with a very creative degree of sadism, and I thought that was, I don't know, I wonder if a little bit of that.
It was his mother who dressed him in girls' clothes and threatened to kill his dog.
Oof! Oh dear, gosh. I had got that the wrong way round, but I will still cling on to a sadistic childhood, possibly helping him write the character of Prospero, or maybe we should say Prospero's main lover. So yeah, this comes out in 1964. It is more of a critical hit. People found it a bit slower paced. They found it a bit too artistic. They wanted more blood and guts, and you kind of have to wait quite a while to get that, but when it comes, you do get a fair amount of bloodshed for the time. There are some risky elements. There's explicit references to Satanism that would have been far more shocking in 1964 than they are today. It did appear to give the BBFC a fair bit of pause for thought, and something I found very interesting is that even today in a 2020 release, the Masque of the Red Death, particularly it was recently restored in a wonderful, wonderful restoration. It still has a 15. I find that a bit odd. I thought it might have made its way down to something like a 12A, but it still manages to retain a 15 certificate.
Oh, between the blatant references to Satanism and when Prospero is having Francesca bathe, I think that would have popped it up.
Ah, yes. And Francesca, we should mention, do I have a suitable image of her? Maybe I do. This one's... I'm keeping it kind of subtle here because Francesca, played by Jane Asher, is 17 when this was filmed. So can I have a nonce nuggets in the chats, boys? Bring out your nonce nuggets. No, it's fine in Europe. It's fine in Europe. Don't worry, guys. Don't worry. Tiny bit uncomfortable, I'll be honest with you. A little bit. Anyway, oh yeah, and yeah, the stuff with Esmeralda is that's some Hollywood hijinks, isn't it? Crikey.
The little girl playing the adult dwarf.
Yes.
That voiceover is awful.
We'll keep the child, but we'll just swap the voice out. What's the problem? And then it's fine. It felt very much Vouch, like she's actually a 9,000-year-old demon. I don't know.
Yeah, no, we're not going down that road, please. I mean, it's bad enough that I imagine that Vosh has this in his DVD collection.
Oof. Absolutely. Oh, dear. There's an absolute nug storm happening in chat. All right. Well, having said all that, having set the scene, that might sound a bit confusing if you didn't do your homework. So I will turn over to TCG.
Oh, God.
For the Pint of Guinness summary. What on earth happens in this film?
Right.
Or a pint of Guinness.
So Vincent Price plays a prince. Is it Prince Prospero?
Yes.
Yes. God, of all the names to remember, he is a bit of a tyrannical ruler over his kingdom, I suppose, for want of a better word. He goes down to the village to invite, to invite the townsfolk to a feast that they're having, but they aren't too happy because they're convinced that they'll only get the scraps. It's basically think Conservative Party in the medieval times. Of course, he doesn't take too kindly to a couple of the gentlemen there, and he decides that it is that they need to be garroted. In steps your protagonist lady of the film, who gets a good old wallop from one of the guards, and then he wallops the guard and was like, "Yeah, she's talking to me."
If they remade this, would she be played by Christina Hendricks, do you think?
No, she would probably be played by Zendaya.
Oh, disavow.
Moving on. So, so it turns out that the two men that he's condemned to death, one of them is the father, and the other one is a even Prospero didn't bring a bedroom tax.
Francesca's suitor.
Exactly. Yep. And the boyfriend / husband to be, whatever. And he goes, "Okay, fair enough. Well, I've look, mate. I've got to go Hitman Agent 47 on them, right? Because if I don't, right, my the villagers ain't going to respect me, and they're going to think I'm a bit of a pushover. But you know what I'm going to do? I am going to give them mercy. Well, I'm going to give one of them mercy. Well, actually, you are, Francesca. Which one are you going to take out? Which one do you want? She can't decide. So he's like, whatever. And then he hears screaming in the background. It's like, oh my God, please, can we just get rid of these two, please? Come on, chop, chop. He goes into one of the huts, and he finds a woman in there covered in blood, screaming her head off. It is the Red Death, I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And so he is like, okay, we're bouncing, guys. You can come if you want, but in the meantime, we're going to burn your village down. So does that. Francesca, you can come with me, and we'll take the two gents. You can decide later. So yeah, he goes back to the mansion, and there you find a bunch of sort of like middle upper class folk who are there, almost like under his protection from the Red Death, and he tries to woo Francesca and try and convince her that his way is the best way. Later, it emerges that actually he's a prince for a reason. It's because he serves a king. That king, or shall I say lord, is a lord of the flies. It is Satan himself. He is he's one of them. He's one of them. And the film really is just him having a whale of a time, just playing this like tyrannical prince who just absolutely loves humiliating people and just putting them down. While you've got Francesca, who is very deeply religious, by the way. I should mention. What attracts him to her is the fact that he's passionately and fiercely devoted to Satan, but Francesca is equally, if not more, passionately devoted. I just love the way that guy's looking at him to God, and so he wants to corrupt that, and he wants to make Francesca his. Meanwhile, you've got Daddy and the husband to be locked up in a dungeon.
Can I just interrupt you here? I saved the screen cap purely because we've got an original Dino. This is pure 100% Dino phenotype.
Also, the guy on the
type, if you will.
Although the guy on the left as well. Don't he look a bit like Sean Bean?
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no! How did he get in here?
Oh look, Steve Buscemi's clocked him.
Oh, all right, chat. You know what to do. 0 seats. See him off. See him off. Come on. Oh. Disgusting. You get those 0
seats. 0 seats. 0
Oh, he's stubborn. He's stubborn.
0 seats. Zero
Oh.
seats.
Come on, guys.
0 seats.
Hang on.
0 seats.
I can feel
0
it.
seats.
It's
0
moving.
seats.
Hang on.
0 seats. 0 seats. 0
Oh,
seats.
there we go. There we
Oh,
go.
barrage,
And-
barrage.
Oh, good. He's cleared off. He's
Ah.
cleared off. We've had an Indian takeout, if you will. Right. Sorry. We're talking about her parents being locked in. We've seen them off for now, guys. That was a close one. How does he keep sneaking in?
Oh, he needs to bugger off and bugger off quick.
Absolutely. Cleared him out.
Cleared him out.
Does need to be a new start. Right. I don't know if I've... Oh, I do have her parents in the dungeon somewhere. Sorry, her dad and her lover.
Okay. We'll just contextualize that for YouTube in case Neil Mohan's listening. Proper Horror Show is likely referring to a screenshot of the father and son in a dungeon in the movie.
Yes.
Proper Horror Show loves her German, but she isn't Josef Fritzl.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Yes. Good. No, Patter Batman, don't clip anything. Don't clip anything we do.
You quoted this line during your watch, and I have to say it is probably one of the best lines.
Oh yes,
in this film, because one of the guards is trying to train the chap with the cut head to sword fight, and he seems to pick it up quite quickly. He's very reluctant to, but he's kind of forced to fight back. And anyway, Vincent Price comes in, and he sees the sword fight happening, and he sees that the husband to be chap is essentially winning and wins that duel. And what is it he says? Proper Horror Show is fucking brilliant.
Oh, I've got it for you. It's the best. Oh, I've got it written down. Sorry. It is a true fact that the best swordsman in Italy would not fear the second best. He'd fear the worst, for he would be unpredictable.
Boom.
I like that.
I love that.
What causes Prospero's unraveling? It's something he has not predicted. It's
Correct.
Something uncontrollable. Excellent foreshadowing, Mr. Beaumont. Yes, it's a. I mean, there are some great lines. I have an early one. This one, she prays after she's been struck. Mercy in the name of God, and Vincent says, "I presume you speak of me."
Oh,
and it's or I presume she addressed me. Sort of telling you like, oh, this guy's got one heck of a complex about him. Yes, there we go.
There's a lot of slapping women in this film as well.
Yeah, could have been more, but you know.
Yeah.
So yes, she's seen her lover and her father in the jail, not having a great time.
I don't know about that.
Well, what?
He seems to be doing all right, kicking arse and taking names.
It's that chaotic factor. What can I say? And where do we go from there?
They're getting ready for a ball, aren't they? It's a celebration.
The masquerade, the mask.
Oh, it bugged me a little bit because he banned one of the things he says to all the people there is that he doesn't want to see any red at the ball.
Yes,
right at the party.
It comes from what he was told in the village because the Red Death, the grandmother received the red rose to bring deliverance from him.
Correct. But there were quite a few people wearing red.
Yeah, here you go. Yeah, I'm afraid I saw that too. That annoyed me. Could you not have checked that?
And of course, you have the subplot with Minivosh getting a bit salty because his accomplice was slapped by.
Let me get her up here. There we go.
Hot Toad and Esmeralda.
Yep.
Why is there a dog? Do I have to play the song again?
No.
No.
You're fine. Good. But but yeah, do you know, I know we've already talked about this, but this was so freaking weird. It's like at first when this scene came up, and you know the guy was going full on like Gary Glitter.
He proper was. You might want to explain that for Yanks.
Okay, think
this dude right here. Gosh darn.
Yeah. I mean, he was stacking up the. All right, let's just put it this way, right? EDP 445. He was gathering the cupcakes because he wanted to dish them out to this particular person. Okay, that's probably the best way to put it. I was like, man, this is weird. This is weird. And then later on, when you actually hear her talk, and it's like an adult woman's voice, and I'm like, hang on. They managed to get a male dwarf. Like, did female dwarfs not exist in the 1960s?
I just
not
okay.
ones that are that attractive.
I'm gonna be clip it.
No.
Murgoot, what the
all right,
man? But
that is some Vouch level specialist interest. I'm going to say.
Jesus.
But
I mean, could they have not put Warwick Davis in a wig for this? I'm sure he would have been around at that time.
but
he would. No short stack goblins.
I was going to take. Oh goodness me! I was going to take a guess. Esmeralda is a elegant dancer, and dwarfism, as far as I know, typically does not allow you to do much elegant dancing. You're not having the long limbs that would help.
Then make her a juggler, or give her a skipping rope, or make her do some magic tricks. I'm sorry.
Who gets thirsty for jugglers?
I don't know. Depends on how good they are. But just
also,
man.
yes, I will apologise. Sorry, we are lazy in Britain. We call everyone Yankees. Sorry. You know, speaking of dwarfs, I watched The Elephant Man by David Lynch on the weekend. Absolutely wonderful film. And there's a dwarf with just in one scene, but he gets to do a fair amount. And I looked it up, and it's only bloody R2D2. It's Kenny. Oh gosh, Baker.
Mm-hmm.
Kenny Baker, is that right?
I believe so.
Yeah. Out of character, getting to talk, just doing a good role, good times.
I'm pretty sure. Was it Kenny Baker? I know one of the guys who played the Oompa Loompas in the Johnny Depp Willy Wonka lived not too far from me back in the day. Maybe not.
It's Kenny Baker.
Ah, thank you. Yeah, it was nice to see him in that. To be honest, he did a good job in a really good film. God, I love that film. I was weeping. I was weeping the whole time. Anyway, so back to these Haribo appreciators. I mean, in this guy's case on the left, and again, I never remember names. He's played by Patrick McGee, and his name is Alfredo. There we go. He is just a complete Haribo fan. And I apologise for anyone who has not picked up on that new euphemism of ours.
I mean, put it this way. I was thinking to myself, because I know, you know how like there's a conversation that sort of happens in modern day stuff where they're like, you know, if you want to portray an autistic character, you find an autistic person, or if you know, trans person, you do trans, or gay, you know, whatever, right? And I'm thinking, like, normally the argument is, well, they're actors, they're paid to act, they're paid to play people that they aren't, and so that's all good and fine and fair, you know, and we should let actors be able to be as creative and yada yada. I saw this film and I feel like my opinion changed on it, because I know she isn't portraying a child in this film, but god damn it, like, really, could we not find somebody for the role that especially with the character that she was portraying and the relationship between the character and our, you know, height deprived friend here on the right. I mean, I was like, thank God he was only doing the old on the hands, because I was like, if there goes any further, I'm reporting this man.
Yeah, we do not need that scene.
Do
not need that scene. The choice to just dub her over in an adult's voice.
It's just so weird. It's just so weird.
It's it's quite an odd facet of the film, but an interesting subplot. And I do feel like, as we said, Charles Beaumont needed to fill the time in this one. Something you kind of alluded to, TCG, is that we get into the castle and then it's kind of just Prospero doing sadistic things to people for quite a while. In an almost fill the time sort of way.
Kind of felt a bit like that at times, didn't it?
Now, I think there's depth to this film, but I'm not going to deny that there's a certain amount of sequences that you could completely remove.
Which is a bit surprising. Well, actually saying that, because I watched this on the Channel 4 app, and it does, and it did say, I don't know if it said it for your copy as well, but this was restored by some like George Lucas Foundation, and they actually had cut scenes that they put back into the film. Yeah,
my copy is I have the Shout Factory Vincent Price Collection Volume 1, which has got this in it, and I believe that is restoration as well.
Got you. Yeah,
but the restored version is the one you get on Channel 4 and Amazon.
Yeah, because it's really weird, like because it's only an 87-minute film, and it's just strange that there were scenes that just kind of felt like, you don't really need that. This one's going on a bit long.
It is weird to have kind of an 87-minute film feel a bit flabby, which is weird because there's some good ideas in this.
It gets infinite passes from me because it's got Vincent Price in it, but I do think it should be somewhat acknowledged.
No, it's fair enough. It's while I get Joe's comment up, because I feel I need to Google that.
Yeah,
that does not. I've never heard of that, Joe. But I'm gonna, because it's you, I'm gonna assume that is something quite interesting.
If I Google this, Joe, am I gonna end up on some kind of watch list? We'll wait for him to respond.
Yeah. But while we do that, Murgoot, I did wonder because you were not blown away by this, and were some of your problems the same that we're talking about now?
Yeah, the length dragged on, and some of the symbolism was ham-handed. There were nice, subtle ones, but it was a bit ham-handed, a bit cheesy for me. May have also been because I was kind of under the weather yesterday, but I had a hard time with keeping my interest in it until it got to the halfway point.
No, that's fair enough. So hang on, around the halfway point. So, like around here, or
before he escapes. That escape sequence kind of picked me up, and him getting out and him meeting the cloaked man in red, and him receiving a tarot card too, just like grandmother did. That piqued my interest and went on from there.
Okay. Fair play. It is sort of just waiting until it can get to the finale. This is a problem. Like, the Poe story is short. In fact, I do believe, folks, you can look in my live stream backlog and actually find my beloved wife reading out the Masque of the Red Death. We had a couple of streams where waifu and a good friend, Amy, were reading out bits of literature. And I'm pretty darn sure we did the Masque of the Red Death. Yeah, I wanted there to be more of those, but alas, a bit of real life got in the way, and the ladies were no longer available. So shame about that, because I thought they did really lovely jobs. Yeah, those were cozy. Those were very cozy. And both waifu and Amy have absolutely lovely voices for reading. Amy was an absolute chat by bringing out H.P. Lovecraft's like 30-minute long letter on why cats are better than dogs. Ah, good times, good times.
I just sent you something. Patrick Batman asked about Hazel Court's cleavage.
Oh, yes, Hazel Court. We do have her in... Tell you what, shall we get... She's got a very plot-relevant cleavage in... Let's get that up, because...
A plot-relevant cleavage.
It is, look.
True.
Oh, goodness me.
But I can do one better. Come on.
Hang on. We're not going to Hendrix post again. We cannot.
I can't make any promises.
But goodness me. Yeah, I think she was in her 30s when she filmed this. And a veteran, of course. She had also been in the previous film in the post cycle, The Premature Burial, which I believe is the only one that did not star Vincent Price.
Right. In Patrick Batman, the voice of the man in red, the Red Death, was John Westbrook.
That should be there you go. Plot relevant cleavage. That should be a shirt if you ever do merch seriously.
Oh dear.
Yeah, know what? That's not a bad idea.
Oh, no. We can't look. If I do merch, Mr. Gently Benevolent will be set off. He'll never recover.
Right. Neither will his bank balance. Seriously, I actually think you have to do that now. I'm not even joking.
Oh no.
You have to do. I'm sorry. You're going to have to do it.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Maybe I will consider some limited edition plot relevant.
Come on.
No one ever got this excited about me repeatedly exposing Harry into Asian men kissing.
Yeah,
no
I know.
one got that hyped about that.
But plot relevant cleavage. I mean,
and I did that so many times to him.
That's a horror movie arc. That's a horror arc, surely, as well. Are there going to be any films out there where the cleavage is?
Yes, there is a film with spooky boobies. Grace is one that comes to mind.
Right.
And of course, we watched David Cronenberg's short story Nest, or The Nest, which was about a boob that may or may not have been full of insects.
Of course.
I'm trying to think of more. Species.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, good shout.
Yes. Which we may be encountering next month, actually.
Oh.
Right. I'm feeling somewhat mesmerized. I'm somewhat distracted. Let's maybe rev turn to boobs. So it's something you kind of touched on, TCG, in the summary is like, yeah, the guy is a full-on worshipper of Satan. We have the scene where Hazel Court is dedicating herself to the Dark Lord here, branding herself with the upside-down cross. She has a raven as a servant, and she asks for a demon to come to her in the night. But there's something really interesting here. Prospero is not just this crazy evil sadist. He's specifically written, and this is directly from Beaumont and Corman. He's written as someone who's got a kind of post-Nietzschean panic going on. He was written from the perspective of thinking basically the God is dead thing. God is dead, now what?
Yeah, there's a few references to that, yeah.
Quite a lot. I mean, if it's not just general meanness, they go out of their way to show you the burning crosses, to show you the cross on young Veronica. Like, they make explicit the idea of Christianity being a dead power and what happens after that. We're not going into proselytizing, chat. Do not worry, we're not doing that again. We touched on that quite a bit last week.
Yeah.
But this is a sort of idea going on there in this particular film, is Prospero's idea of he can define his own master. He can worship in his own way. His morality is his to define. And he believes he can teach people that. He is delighting in corrupting the court. And some of the ideas the writer puts in are quite interesting about that. So basically, everyone is absolutely horny all the time, absolutely cavorting.
And why wouldn't they be?
Yes. Do you remember that first party scene where he just gets people to behave as beasts?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I think the writer is getting in that idea of actually, maybe without a guiding purpose. Chat, calm down. We're not saying get to church, but we're saying you need a firm moral foundation, okay? That's what we're saying here. You will go atavistic. I mean, I think the fact that we've got the Hop-Toad arc is deliberately about, a man becoming a beast, right?
Debasing and debauching themselves.
Absolutely. Deeply, deeply atavistic.
To the whims of the prince.
Absolutely. There's sort of... And the fact early on when there's the old Haribo scene, apologies to anyone who doesn't keep up with the euphemisms, Prospero is literally just delighting in corrupting innocence.
I feel like maybe there was more to it with that character casting choice. Maybe.
Oh, what, of Esmeralda or Mr. Haribo to the left?
Esmeralda.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's an intentional... I think that was intentional, actually, thinking about it.
It's not just that she can dance elegantly, it's that she conveys extra innocence.
Yeah. I just... Ugh. Glare.
It is a lot. It is a lot.
It is, yeah. To be fair, I never really expected anything like that. I mean, when you asked me at the beginning, like, was this kind of what I expected? And I was like, yeah. I think it's because I repressed this character out of my mind. Because again, like, it was just, okay, this is uncomfortable. He's clearly like, leering over a kid.
Oh yeah.
And then it's like, oh no, actually no, it's an adult. And I'm like, oh my god, this is Twitter.
Okay.
This is Bosch's secret folder that he keeps on his PC. This is we're doing this, are we? Is that what we're doing?
Short stack goblins moment.
Yeah, quite literally, yeah. It's not a child, guys. It's a 7,000-year-old goblin, okay, with a massive horse.
Yeah. Oh dear.
There goes Green.
It's one of those moments that remains actually really quite creepy, whilst maybe some of the torture and violence doesn't land as strongly. I'll throw in this moment. I don't know if this stood out to you guys. The villagers come to plead for mercy.
Yes.
And do you know, I just had a note about a weird line where he says, "Spare the child." I don't know if you got this vibe, but I just thought that was censorship.
Right.
Like, Hays Code guys, BBFC, I want to make it very clear to you that a child is not being harmed here. FYI. Because this was quite close to the line. This did get the X certificate.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Dr. Prepper, absolutely. Absolutely, you're correct there. That's a great reading. I'll read it out for people who are just listening. Prospero revels in the corruption of the nobles. He sees how readily they debase themselves in exchange for jewels, protection, etc. And he seems to find it simultaneously amusing and contemptible. Absolutely.
Very true. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, I read that as an appeasement of censorship. There was another bit that maybe today still comes across as a bit interesting that I believe did cause a bit of an uproar or a bit of concern in the censorship offices. This one. TCG, people listening at home, what happens in this scene?
Do you know, I couldn't really. I'm assuming this is the point where she's given herself up for Satan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she goes through like this ritual. It's like she's essentially being killed and reborn, I guess. Yeah, it was weird. It was weird.
She literally says, "Satan, send me a demon," and gets an African dancer.
Oh,
then a Jewish guy, then a Chinaman.
Well, I mean,
what
look,
did they mean by this?
was-
Hang on, the end of the world is brought on by people in the rainbow?
Wait a
What
minute.
did he mean by this?
What was Sweet Baby Ink's involvement in this movie?
Oh, boy.
Oh, dear. I'm sorry. Probably not intended, but it was quite funny. Chat, hold your breath. Yeah, it's an interesting sequence. I think they were going very abstract here because they didn't want to actually show her being ravished by a demon.
Yeah.
Yes, Patrick Batman has it. Half naked. I know. But maybe like 20% naked. We could do a lot better. Being stabbed by multiple men. Absolutely. That is a penetration. But we mostly just see her face because, again, this is a 1964 film. There's not as much. Joe, I think you would get a lot out of this. There's a lot of deeper reading going on. But I do find this choice genuinely kind of wild and interesting that when she asks for a demon, she gets these other cultures. And I really... it's fun to meme, but I don't know why they made this choice. Do you guys have any guess on that?
I've got no idea. I just took it as some sort of like artistic approach. Yeah, I really couldn't tell you. I don't know. It was just weird.
It is. It's. I was trying to get my head around it. I mean, Murgoot, anything?
It's the only thing I saw was the demons kill her, take her soul, and she's reborn. I didn't look too carefully beyond that. I mean, the symbolism is there, but all I saw was the most blatant one where she dies, her soul's taken, she's reborn to serve.
Oh, here's an interesting one. Patrick Batman quoting, I believe that's Book of Matthew. All the nations of the world could be yours, Satan said to Jesus. So yes, that's during the fasting. Yeah, it could be. If she's inviting a demon and all she sees is sort of far-flung cultures, is the idea that Satan's around the world, or the world could be unified, or her nation will crumble and these new nations will gain power? Could be a lot in that, and certainly her own nation does crumble in the end of this. But her disloyalty does not end well after that, and she is, although she tries to help. Oh, I want to say Francesca. Am I wrong?
Francesca's the name. Yeah,
it is Francesca. Excellent. Yeah, Juliana tries to help Francesca, but I think it's a lot more of a. She doesn't want the attention going, to be honest.
That's exactly the vibe I got. I don't think it was anything. It wasn't like a last act of kindness, if you were. It was like, get out because I want to be the focal point, not you.
Yeah, but it does not go well for her. And yes, she is shortly murdered by Raven after this, in a scene that I think you'll find very reminiscent of something
was it
in
Raven, or was it Prospero's Falcon?
I thought it was a Raven. Was it not a Raven? I was sure it was a Raven. Oh no! Hang on.
But I thought it was a Raven.
Let me confirm. Oh, I'm struggling to find it. Oh, no, it's saying by a falcon.
Yeah.
Oh, I apologize. She
Oh.
had the Raven as a familiar. We'll go with a Falcon, which means it's
Prospero's hunting
Prospero's Falcon. I've got a great shot of that here. We get some really key dialogue in this scene, by the way, if you guys remember that.
This is the expo dump in it about how he's
How to
like,
train hunting falcons by sewing their eyes shut until they can get used to being enclosed and then eventually being set free to do what they're trained to do.
Yes, shut off their eyes from the outside world, really, and then they can only receive your instruction, which is, you know, basically what Prospero is doing to young Francesca here, and to an extent. Weirdly enough, by the end, it seems to work. She seems actually a little conflicted over leaving him.
Yeah. And also, just to extend that, it's also extended to the people inside the castle as well. That manipulation, that level of control, and obedience.
There's this question here a comment here from Joe that's kind of interesting, saying communist films depict the upper middle classes as degenerate and ripe for being revolted against. Certainly, but do we think that's what's going on here? Because I feel, even though, you know, a certain amount of truth about that, you know, woke more correct than the mainstream, etc., but
Corman was an arch capitalist. Anything, he loved making movies, he loved making money.
I feel, I'm with you on that. I feel there's something, you could interpret that, but I think he's doing something else, especially with his write this as Prospero believing God is dead and there being a definer of his own morality. Which, again, as we say, we're not saying go to church, but we're saying you need your own North Star, whatever it be. Ideally something good, if you don't mind.
Go to the synagogues instead.
We're on YouTube.
What? There's nothing wrong with saying that.
No. Not that there's anything wrong with that sort of thing. No. Jokes aside, it's all good. Oh God! I
just saying, if you don't want people to go to church, we can take them elsewhere. I mean, just saying.
Fair play. I think attendees of a synagogue will not particularly enjoy Prospero's feast, so we should maybe discuss what happens to the father and lover of Francesca.
Oh, I love this. I loved it. So they try to escape after the evil lady, I can't remember her name now.
Francesca lets him out.
Yeah, Francesca. Yeah, she apparently her guard's paid off. Yada yada yada. She goes down. She manages to get the dad and the other half, and they make a break for it, but they end up getting caught by Vincent Price. Which again, there's a really good line in it. Francesca gets knocked to the floor. Reveals, oh, actually, it's Vincent Price because he was dressed up in a guard's outfit. Because they thought one of the guards had been bribed, but it turns out, probably got the drop on him. So when she realizes it's Vincent Price, she turns around and says, "She betrayed us, or she betrayed us." And Vincent Price is like, "No. She betrayed me." It's like, ooh.
He's got such a great voice.
Yeah. Anyway, they come up with a new punishment. So they're at this banquet, and the dad and the other half come out. They're sort of dragged out. Vincent Price is giving a bit of a monologue, and as he's giving a monologue, he's shoving 5 knives into the table one at a time. And then he turns around to the chaps and he says, "Look, now's your chance. One of you will be spared, but you'll have to pick a knife and cut yourself with it. But one of them, or take the other one out as well. It don't really matter. Cut yourself with it. However, one of them has been tainted with a poison that will end you in 5 seconds." And so they're going through one at a time, taking it in turns. They could technically jab one another, but they each opt to cut themselves in the arm. Looked very convincing, by the way, those cuts.
1964. This felt quite Spartacus to me.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm not being sarcastic either.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah,
they look quite good cuts.
Yeah.
One at a time. Dad goes up, cut, count to 5, all good. Son, the younger chap goes up, does the same, and then it repeats. And on the fourth one, it's the young lad gets up, cuts his arm, counts to 5 seconds. Oh no, it's not poison. So the last one must be. So then, as the father goes up to take the 5th knife, Vincent Price jumps up with a massive sword and like shanks him in the chest, killing him. And then they were like, "You cheated," and he was like, "They weren't playing it properly."
This could have been one of the most bloody get on with it scenes, but I loved a lot.
I love the tension. Yeah.
Firm,
like,
you know what the stakes are.
I mean, exactly. You didn't know whether they were going to get caught out early on, whether, when it comes to business, are they going to take, are they going to change their mind and, stab the other one? That's, almost like a taste test. Yeah, it was good. It worked for me. It proper worked.
Also, bonus, look how rich he is. He's got a pineapple.
Boom.
How many of you remember your econ history about how luxurious pineapples were? Yeah.
They used them as centerpieces, didn't even eat them just to show their wealth. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Indeed. It's one of those econ history facts that we've well known in these circles, but it's worth mentioning. Yeah, so good stakes. You can work out, well, hang on, he knows he's done. So is he going to just try and take Prospero out, and then Prospero's ahead of him? The writer is ahead of us. It's a good scene.
It's a really good scene. It's one of my favorite, actually. I think it's my favorite scene in the film.
It's very nicely done. Oh no. Oh, hang on. On the right. Oh, bugger.
0 seats. 0 seats.
Get him out, lads.
0
Get him out. It's reported
seats.
he may lose his seat.
0 seats.
How does
0 seats. 0
Who installed
seats.
him?
0 seats.
Gosh, go on,
0
lads.
seats. 0
He
seats.
needs to be driven
0
out.
seats. 0 seats. 0 seats.
nearly-
0 seats. 0
I need
seats.
some
0
more.
seats.
He's still
0
hanging
seats.
around.
0 seats. 0 seats. 0 seats. 0 seats.
Good. Oh, he's cleared out. I can hear him packing his bags. Well done, guys. That was a close one, wasn't it? That was a close one.
Whew.
Well,
I'll let him slip in there.
So after that, this used to be such a serious horror channel.
I love the Hot Toad vignette where he tricks Alfredo into wearing the monkey costume and locks him in.
Oh,
Sets him on fire.
It's solid, You've been convinced by him. That some great stuff by Skip Martin as Hot Toad there. Some lovely staging where he sort of hints he's disloyal and he wants to move over, create this wonderful display of sort of barbarism for Prospero. He'll absolutely love it. And Prospero does indeed love a display of barbarism after Hot Toad burns Alfredo to death for striking Esmeralda. Prospero does want to give him 5 gold pieces. So yeah.
That's right. Yeah, give him 5 gold pieces for the entertainment and get that out of here. We don't want that messing up the hall.
It's nicely done. It's very nicely done. A nice short little subplot. We like it. It's good to know that Esmeralda is not disrespected. Maybe he manages, he apparently manages to live. He's spared the Red Death, as we're told at the end.
Yeah.
And with that said, we sort of move into the masquerade itself. After that, we're right in it. Prospero just says, clear that mess out the way. People can't dance around it.
Yep. I just remember as well the main rule: no red.
No red at all. Definitely no red here, bro.
I mean, one of them was even wearing red shoes. Even Warwick Davis there's wearing red, like a dark red.
On the hat, yeah. Brutal. Gosh. Oh,
I just love
nice
it.
reference there to
Yeah.
Alex Boy. Yes. We'll say we actually have a date to record the next Kubrick.
Ooh.
So, folks, we'll be covering Clockwork Orange next.
Nice.
I mean, it might take a month after that to get it out, but it's on its way, guys. It's on its way. Yes. Yeah. So Corman was a little upset about this. Like he had been pushing to get longer filming times so he could make better films. As I said in the last Vincent Price biography, a lot of these AIP productions were done in 15 days.
Right.
Which is, blooming tight. And he ended up with only 1 day to film The Masquerade. And I think was a bit dissatisfied about it, sad to say.
Yeah.
Right.
We forgot the part where Prospero lets Gino escape, where Gino runs into
Oh, yeah, we should
the
cover
Red
that.
Man.
Good catch. Let me get that back up because I saved this just because of how beautiful it is. Oh, this is absolutely gorgeous, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's all right.
Really? I
Going
love
on
this.
the battlements.
This whole setup, I absolutely loved it. Like, ever since they did it at the start. This old crone, like everything is so muted, and then there's this guy in red. And then they use the same technique on a lesser scale in the next scene with Prospero. Everyone else muted, and he's standing out in gold. Oh, it's great stuff. But yes, back to this scene. Murgoot, do you want to just go over that for people?
Yeah. Gino escapes. He's running back to the village. He runs into the Red Man. The Red Man calls him over and hands him a card. And what does it mean? The deliverance is nigh. Meet me up on the battlements. And Gino gets up there, and it's he's informed to grab the one he loves, and the Red Man ducks into the castle. And then it sets off the chain of events from there. Of
That's
the
right.
Red Man, the Red Death walking into the masquerade, and Prospero spots him all over the place, and he's freaking out. And the Red Death starts touching the guests, and they die of the Red Death. They're painted red to make sure you know that they're dead and dancing, and Prospero chases them around and finally gets them into the altar chamber where basically your Lord Satan.
We lost you. We lost you for a few seconds.
Okay. Where'd you lose me?
Just after they get them into the chamber.
Oh, into the altar chamber?
Yes.
No, I'm not your Lord Satan. And pulls off the mask, and it's Prospero's face painted red, much to the horror. And
absolutely mirthless as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, a few questions here. John, yes, it was shot in Britain, mostly because there was a tax write-off. So before you could go to Canada, you went to Britain, where there were levies available for film production. So they wanted to do that. And also they knew that there was a set basically left over from another film. So they could get straight in there and save a lot on production. Corman was very canny like that. And a question from Patrick Batman about the symbolism of the different coloured rooms. Prospero said he imprisoned a man in the yellow room and he went mad. So I think that, if anything, and I'm glad you raised it, is a reference to a story called The Yellow Wallpaper. There's also an H.G. Wells story called The Red Room, which I wondered if that was being referenced. Oh, just a second. Yes, hope Empire of Lies goes well tonight. And always good having you around. Yeah, have fun. And guys, check out Empire of Lies. Years are doing great stuff on that. Really enjoyed what I've caught of that. So yeah, I think the yellow room is a reference to the yellow wallpaper. Thank you, Catherine. That is a story about a woman who is imprisoned. She's confined to treat mental illness, and she absolutely loses it, and just thinks there are voices and shapes moving behind the yellow wallpaper of the room. So I think it's an allusion to that. This film contains quite a lot of allusions, not only to other Edgar Allan Poe stories, but I think to other literary things. My brain is a bit scrambled, but you can try and catch a few of them. I mean, I almost wonder if it was... Hang on, when was Rosemary's Baby? Was that 68 or 60? What do we got? 68, I was correct. Yeah, so it's after that. So Rosemary's Baby, possibly a bit more influenced by this than the other way around. So that's what I think the yellow thing was. But the fact that to get to the antechamber, he moves through, as best I could tell, identical rooms, but just painted differently, sort of a yellow and then a purple one. I was not as sure, to be honest. We see all colours represented in the deaths at the end, but I'm not sure it's that. I sort of... My best guess was that the sequential identical rooms on the way to his ultimate altar were a reference to what he had said to Juliana earlier about being able to slowly give her more details and induct her further. That it's like, sorry, my voice is going, that it's like layers of the onion being stripped back until you ultimately get back to sort of the root of everything for him, which, as we encounter here, is really just him making up his own morality. That's what I'm guessing. Mm-hmm. Did anyone have any? Because I'm not as solid on that. I think there's something in the colours. I was trying to work stuff out. Like, there's loads of green candles. Is that like a green for envy, like a burning jealousy, etc.?
Maybe.
Maybe.
You know, I was, again, I don't think that deeply. When I saw those green candles, it just took me to so stupid. But I was just thinking of Power Rangers. Because there's a whole story arc with Tommy the Green Ranger and a candle that's burning his power. It's stupid. I know. But that's
well,
really thinking.
I was wondering about it too, and I didn't have too many thoughts. But it, in my mind, the end scene, which we haven't gotten to, kind of ties it all up.
Yeah.
I mean, I did think, is it some kind of like Four Horsemen thing?
It's
yeah.
Well,
I'm not really
gets chased into the ballroom, and he's touched by everybody in the ballroom and dies. And the 6 are allowed to walk. 5 or 6 are allowed to walk out, and then it flashes back to the tree. And the red man is there, and then the black cloaked man, and the white cloaked man, and the yellow cloaked man, and the green cloaked man. And they all start comparing notes on how much disease they've spread. The Black Death, the Red Death, cholera.
Porphyria.
Kind of thing. Yeah, how many they've killed off in that time.
Yeah, but there are so many more deaths than there are rooms, so that it threw me off. I mean, this might sound like a cop-out, guys. I think the colours may be slightly irrelevant, and that because I got fixated on the green candles for ages, and then I saw there are a whole bunch of blue candles. I might even have a screen cap here, and that threw me off. So I think possibly, oh, here we go. So in the Haribo scene, blue candles, green candles. I think it's possible that they're just, and here, possibly they just wanted it to be colourful,
maybe,
and look gorgeous and look opulent, to sort of show how much money Prospero has. So
the green candles were discount.
It could literally just be that which feels like a cop out, but I suspect that's what's going on.
Maybe. It may, like I mean, John may be onto something there with that comment about it being on a discount. It might have just been a budget saving exercise. They might have been able to get cheaper ones, but I mean,
can we just thank Adam Love Sorry here quickly, dropping in, not available to make the whole stream, but coming in like an absolute Chad, dropping $2 and saying have to rewatch. I had to come and smash the like. You have done your duty. Thank you very much.
Legend.
To a point, Patrick Batman reference to medieval humors. No, it was Yellow Death is cholera, the Red Death is anthrax, and Black Death, of course, is bubonic plague, and some of the others.
Joe saying linking German flag colors. No, man, it was yellow, purple, white, and black. That's like the non-binary flag. Hang on, is this the most based movie ever? Oh dear. Right. I want more references. I want something behind the color theory, but I do genuinely wonder if it's just trying to be opulent to show Prospero's got tons of money. Oh dear. We've pretty much got to the end scene, which I've got one screen cap from because this is absolutely glorious.
I'm sorry. He looked like he was having fun with this. There were a couple of split-second moments. If you watch it carefully, you kind of see him go, you kind of get that vibe.
Maybe. It's all right. This I absolutely love, but I don't want to sound heretical, guys, but did it sort of drag a bit?
Mm-hmm.
I sort of felt they finished. They got to it. The revealing, the mask being taken off. Vincent Prospero sees his own face, but with the jeez,
the red body paint.
With the red body paint. And I thought, we're wrapping up any second. And then it kind of kept going for about 5 more minutes.
It's like a wrestling match where, you take your opponent into the corner, you go up, you do the 10 punches to the face, then you jump down, you then Irish whip him into another corner, do the same thing, you then take him, whip him into the next corner, and you repeat that process 4 times. But with each one, you do it a little bit slower.
A certain amount of run away, drag your time out. I don't want to sound like a zoomer here, but it kind of feels like there's about 3 minutes we could take off.
Mm-hmm.
Would you have liked it if underneath there was a second screen, or like cut into the screen of somebody just like cutting through things with a hot knife? Would that have helped you?
I'm so lost. Sorry.
That's fine. Don't worry.
Okay.
It just proves you don't watch shorts or TikTok videos. So that's good. That's good. Well done.
No, confirmed. I'll watch the odd Nigel compilation.
Yeah.
On TikTok. Good times. Murgoot, same.
Yes, definitely.
I think you said you got dragged back in a bit more at the end.
Yeah, from the halfway point I was dragged in, but this scene did drag a little bit much, but it did pay off, and by that time I was just watching Vincent Price ham it up.
He was chewing the scenery.
Yeah.
And he got a nice amount of blood on there. I do think so. Nice amount of blood.
Yeah, not too shabby. Not too shabby. One thing we didn't talk about, excuse me, much earlier in the film was when he was revealing that he was, like a devil worshipper. And then you get that guy turn up on horse and carriage, like from another village, and he reveals to the guy that the Red Death is in town, and he's like begging for sanctuary. Remember that bit?
Oh yeah.
He has him. I slept.
Another based.
I give you my wife.
Yeah.
I've already had your wife.
Yeah, another based moment in that film. Exactly, Murgoot, is when he's like, he drags his wife out, and he's like, take her, I'll give her to you. Like anything, please, just spare me. You can do whatever you want to her. It's absolutely fine. Like, just take her. And he's like, already done, mate.
Absolutely brutal. He'd already been put in the Tice chair. I love seeing that. I can't unsee it. It's just. I'm sorry, chat. I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh dear. That just makes me so happy. Yeah. Yeah, it was I mean, that was, I think, just another one of the scenes of kind of just Prospero proving what a sod he is.
And like he what does he do? Does he shoot? He shoots him with a bow and arrow, doesn't he?
Crossbow, yeah.
Crossbow, that's it. He shoots him with a crossbow, and then he chucks a knife to the missus, and he's like, "Save yourself."
Yeah. Yeah, the guy says, spare me from the Red Death, and Vincent shoots him. There you go.
Yeah.
And then to the wife, spare yourself. But
yeah,
there was a cool thing with that. Do you notice a nice edit where he chucks the dagger, and then the next shot is a sword clattering on the ground, and it's a prison scene.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Nice edit.
Yeah,
I appreciated that. That was a good touch.
Yeah, that was. I wish they applied that when the Red Death was going around the dance floor, and then like hiding the sort of like covering the camera with the cloth.
Yeah,
with his cloth, and then like transitioning to, because obviously it's an obvious transition, but it looked quite. I mean, you could.
It wasn't as smooth as rope.
Nah, they could have done a fade cut on that rather than just a straight like forward cut, because I think one of them is like the gowns are completely different shades to the one that he covers the camera with. It's like, oh, that was rough.
It's orcs. I would happily fix that with some CGI in the nowadays, to be honest.
Yeah.
And in fact, even then, your big problem is you've got to paint the people completely.
Yeah.
What I would probably do, and I'm shocked Corman didn't do it, is just sort of have the person in the cloak block the view, stay precisely still, and then sort of swap the extras out. So have one extra fine, another extra in the same clothes but made up in the Red Death.
Yeah.
They look similar. You can quickly swap them out while the person's posed, and then retake it out and then trim your frames, and you'd be fine. No one's going to really notice it's different extra. You'd be great. But yeah, minor nitpick, and you're right to call it out. It was a somewhat bad effect.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah, not really an excuse for it, because there's like we've covered films that are older than this, and it's actually like, oh, that's actually a really good effect.
Yes. Again, this was rushed. So to be fair, Corman only had a day for that. So I think this is possibly why he doesn't rate the ending.
Yeah.
All right. And then, as you said, Murgoot, yeah, we get to the end, and then our Red Death meets up with his fellow deaths, and they walk across the land. This is, of course, going to be very familiar to you from the other ones in the Poe cycle. They do tend to end in a. They do tend to end in a quote from Edgar Allan Poe, even when they aren't adapting one of his stories. Looking at you, The Haunted Palace. Sneaky buggers. Yeah. It's quite an interesting, bold ending, isn't it?
Yeah.
Murgoot, tell us how you thought about this ending for the film.
I liked the ending. Just all the personification of the diseases, comparing their notes, bringing misery to the world as punishment. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. It kind of fits a theme of there being a sort of, okay, if God's out the picture, there's something else in power, but it's incomprehensible and it's doing its own thing. And these personifications of disease are so much greater than anything anyone else is comprehending. It's sort of fits in there. How about yourself, TCG? Was this a satisfying ending for you?
It was all right.
Yeah,
it was all right. Because I'm not too familiar with Edgar Allan Poe's work, so I was like, okay, cool. We get a quote at the end, makes sense. Yeah, I don't know, bit chatty, bit like it's a bit like you go into the break room and be like, you know what? Busy day today, lads. I managed to seal 64 kills so far. Oh, that's nothing. I've just been over on accounts, and they've told me that we've got enough budget now so that I can go off and make another 1,000 kills. It's just busy day. Anyway, you're gonna eat that. You're gonna eat that custard cream.
I see where you're coming from. Yeah, it's certainly not your typical ending, is it?
Yeah, it's a bit of a. I did get vibes that it was a bit of a willy waving contest.
It is. God, this is probably why this didn't go down as well with horror films at the time, but critics liked it, and I think it does make it stand out a fair bit more in for later audiences to discover. It's just that little bit more distinctive, and it's kind of iconic.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is about this film, I think I do feel like it's very much like an intellectuals film type of film. You know,
that's what Corman was reading the notes. Corman was aiming for a more artistic vision.
You can
serious. And
yeah, I completely got that vibe from this film. It's not like a I mean, it's obviously I would say it's a relatively simple sort of plot, but it's portrayed in a way that's a very sort of I almost felt like kind of, and I know obviously it's an Edgar Allan Poe work, but it almost felt like it was trying to be somewhat Shakespearean in its approach. It was very sort of articulate and artistic, and yeah, it gave me that vibe, that energy. It was trying to be something more than just bog standard horror, you know. I think it worked. I'm not a smart dude, but you know, yeah, I think it worked.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
And plus, it's got Vincent Price in it. Where can you go wrong?
Yeah. and Jane Asher.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's 2 years later. This one's fine.
Okay, fine. Ooh woo.
Clip that, lads. That's going in the next intro.
Oh wait, she was only what? How old was she in this film then?
17. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's fine in Europe. If a tad uncomfortable now.
Yeah, true.
So I can't. I'm old. I can't. You know.
Yeah, she looks older. I'm sorry. This film, man. Okay, two people of Jesus Christ.
Faintly subversive.
Yeah.
All right. Well, are we ready for our sort of round up our scores and final thoughts?
Yes.
Let's go.
Right. Sweet. Oh, hang on. Just John Gorris. A lovely touch there. Yes. That's a nice interpretation. I was worrying that she was maybe somewhat getting corrupted by him and confused by him. But I like it that it's I prefer the interpretation that it's a bit of a charity. It's nice and ambiguous, but as TCG was saying, you get to use your noggin a bit more in this one. And I just wish I had a better answer for the colours. That's bothering me. I should remove Ms. Asher there. There we go. So scores come in, and TCG, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I'll go with it. I would probably give this. Okay. It's quite an artistic film. As I say, the energy that I got from it was very much that it was like I said, it's trying to be like an intellectual horror. There's the whole moral debate around sort of religion, the whole question of God. Is God dead? Yada yada yada. That sort of stuff. It definitely wasn't sort of like a bog standard one. There were some scenes in it which I thought were absolutely brilliant. Others which could have been polished off a bit better. 87 minutes for a runtime, even that is all right, despite the fact that there were a couple of scenes which felt like it dragged a little bit. I don't think that could have that should have happened really. Having said that, the scene in the banquet with the two guys, cutting each other to it was almost like a Russian roulette style of game. I bloody loved that scene. It was brilliant. Very, very. I was well invested at that in that particular scene. And of course, Vincent Price, absolute legend. You cannot go wrong. I would probably rank it around 8 out of 12 burgers. Lots and lots of ketchup in that burger, I must say, a nice healthy amount. With, I don't know, a little bit of salad, and I would perhaps say grace before munching into it.
Nice. You seem to be in alignment with chat there.
I mean, it naturally
gets hitting 8 or 9.
Yeah, I mean, naturally, it will get bonus points for Vincent Price. I mean, I'll be quite upfront with you. I don't think it would, if he wasn't in it, it wouldn't be something that I would typically watch. He was very much the draw for me. That said, I did like that. I did like the film. It was all right. As I say, some good scenes in it. It did all right. Burned monkey burgers with multiple coloured sauces.
Very nice. Devonte, interesting point. 87 minutes is not good. Do they not think these movies are on TV and need to fill up 2 hours? No movie should ever be under 90 minutes. Well, I mean, this is before the time, Devonte.
Yeah.
You would get movies on TV, but they wouldn't have thought of broadcasting it. This was way too extreme for TV at the time. No network would have carried this, so they weren't thinking about it. They were sort of aiming for sort of short B movie length, so they could get as many screenings as possible. But even just generally, movies were a lot shorter back then. Especially B movies. So my Vincent Price collection, first set has 6 movies on. Only one of them is over 85 minutes.
Wow.
And it's this one. These are short films, so it's just what's Grandpa Simpson, as was the style at the time.
I think nowadays we don't get we don't really get films in length like Titanic or bloody Avengers, Infinity War. I think that's more of a. I think that's a relatively modern thing with movies. There are exceptions. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like
exceptions. David Lean's epics, Dr. Zhivago, Bridge over the River Kwai.
Zeffirelli's Life of Jesus. 7.5 hours, bro. Woo!
Yeah.
The Greek national anthem.
Okay.
Yeah. It is interesting. I think we have gone the other way. I'd generally say, there are a heck of a lot of movies that are way over 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Do not need to be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, 90 minutes was kind of the norm, and then, but of course, you get films over that. But nowadays, I think if you're getting films that are like less than 2 hours, you kind of you might feel like you're being sold a bit short, which is weird. Which is a weird concept, because there's the whole spiel about us, losing constant, sort of having shorter attention spans as sort of like generations progress. But yeah. I think we do sit in a generation which has like longer films in comparison to like what was out there before. I don't know. Were the boomers the original TikTok generation? I don't know.
I think studios don't expect us to pay much attention.
Yeah.
That's why.
And I think, and Maverick also says they used to have intermissions. So, they had to have breaks in between 90-minute films. I mean, come on. They are literally TikTokers. I can't watch this whole movie unless I've had some external stimulant. Where's my popcorn?
Absolute state of Zoomers. It's true. It's true. Murgoot, how about yourself? Closing thoughts and scores? Oh, and I think we have memers in there. Yeah, 9. Yeah. Very specific.
That's a very specific score.
Oh, it started off really slow for me. It did wind up being satisfying, and I love the vignette with Hop Toad and Alfredo. The whole bringing the short story Hop Frog in for the revenge scene was, I liked that a lot. The symbology was good. Vincent Price, of course, chewing the scenery and the bit of eye candy didn't hurt. Once it hit the halfway point, it really started engrossing me, and I did start noticing that it was better than I originally thought. I give it a solid 8 burgers with lots of ketchup and a little bit of spice.
Oh, yeah. I like that. That's solid. That's solid. Again, we're kind of unified on this one. Kind of unified. All right. As for myself, big concurrence. It's a much more artistic, much more intellectual film than general, but the story is tough to adapt, and try as they might, I think Charles Beaumont could have done a little bit more to give it direction in the middle, where I really felt the pace dropped out of it, and we could have done with a bit more seeding for some of the scenes that were genuinely good, like the aforementioned sort of dagger roulette scene. That was great. More of that. So it's mostly a pacing problem, but great performances from Hazel Court and Jane Asher, and Vincent Price, really comfortable in the role, having a whale of a time, being an absolute sod. Yeah. Cozy, but falling down in the pace department. You shouldn't be looking at an 87-minute film thinking, oh, bloody hell. It's dragging a bit. So could have done with some trimming or some better pacing work. And I don't think I can move from an 8 burgers either. 8 burgers, absolutely loads of ketchup, more pickle than expected, although the pickle may not be entirely ripe. It's fine in Europe. And yes, a little bit of sriracha in there, if you're looking for it. Yes, so that is our scores. We're all sort of around there in around the 8s and the 9s. It's good, but probably not great. But a cozy watch would be recommended. If I were going to suggest something from the post cycle, I would probably direct people to this. You probably this or House of Usher would be where I'd send people. Oh, interesting ones come in. Patrick Batman sending in £5. Thank you very much. And saying, I recommend the Severance TV series. Directed by Ben Stiller. I've never heard of this. No connection to Danny Dyer's movie. And it's an existential dystopian horror season 2 on the way. Guys, have you heard of this?
No.
Oh.
I've heard of the TV series because I think there's people at my work that have watched it, and they've recommended it. Because whenever someone, it's funny Patrick Batman references that Danny Dyer. Because every time I heard someone talk about Severance, I was like, "Oh, what you mean the 2007 one with Danny Dyer?" And they're like, "What? What do you mean?"
Huh.
Damn it! We've covered that, haven't we, Severance?
Yeah, we did. We did it in our Christopher Smith season.
Yeah,
we love a bit of Christopher Smith around here.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the £5. Very generous and much appreciated.
We need to cover. We need to cover straight heads, by the way. If we're talking Danny Dyer films, Gillian Anderson as well, isn't it?
Gillian Anderson. You're just trying to get me googling redheads.
Hell yeah.
There's a redhead in this actually. And oh wow, it's got Dickon Lackman. She was in Dollhouse. All right, I'm kind of sold on this. I don't know where I will manage to watch this, but I'm sure we'll find it somewhere online. Looks intriguing.
Isn't it on Netflix?
Is it?
I think so.
Let's do some quick Googling. Sorry, folks. I'm sure this is what you want from...
Oh, no. Hang on. It looks like it's on Apple TV.
Apple TV. May have to... Oh, Prime Video. Oh, no. That's a movie. All right. I'm intrigued. I fancy checking that out. It might take me a while, but I fancy checking it out, and I thank you for the tip. Well, folks, you've got your closing thoughts and scores for the Masque of the Red Death. We're all around 8 and 9. Pretty happy with it. And if you were around at the start of the stream, you've also heard your homework for next week. We are returning to Vincent Price, so I can actually do the biography, and that will hopefully take us to the end of the 70s with him. And we will be covering Theatre of Blood. I know it was requested previously. That's just a good laugh, to be honest. That's a gay old time. And maybe we'll even have some plot relevant cleavage. Was it?
Come on, you need to do that merch.
Oh, we'll talk offline. All right, folks.
Let's do it.
Thank you ever so much for dropping by for this very efficient stream. We're in Super Nanny's Good Books. Mima, you can absolutely add smoked bacon to your burger score. Absolutely. And also the tips about Mr. Frost. I found apparently free on YouTube. I didn't find it there, but we have found it. On Odyssey. So I'll be checking that out, and then I think that is probably going to go in our underrated 90s gems, alongside Mute Witness. Should I just name them? Mute Witness, Species, Shallow Grave. We're looking at. I've got a couple of others. I'll have to decide. There are a few winners in there, and I really want you to enjoy them. All right. Well, that is everything. Massive thanks, Murgoot and TCG.
Pleasure as always. Thank you very much. And thank you, chat.
Yeah, cheers, chat. You've been generous. You've been hilarious. You've been absolutely thirsty for redheads, but I don't think I can accuse you of that. Devonte is asking for a link to your channel again, which is good. People will need it because TCG is doing his community stream tomorrow night.
So the link I've just popped in the chat now is for the Alien Isolation stream I did the other day. And this is the quiz. So yes, bookmark it. Save the date tomorrow at 9 p.m. UK time. Myself, Murgoot will be there, as will returning guests, LPR Presents and Just Interrogations. I need to speak to Denziel actually to see if he can make it. If not, then Murgoot, we might have to co-host together.
Okay.
All right, sweet. That's a great way to end the Friday. So, folks, thank you again. I hope you have a great Friday, and I hope you have a great weekend after that. Thanks, y'all. Cheers.
0 seats. 0 seats. 0 seats. 0 seats. 0 seats.